Alright, apparently I'm online again, so if anybody's in Twitch or YouTube and can let me know if this is working or not. Sadly, it seems like I'm having a lot of issues with streaming tonight. I tried lowering my bitrate. Right now, I just updated a few things. So if anybody's online, please just let me know if this is working better. Where is Cubone? Alright, so nobody's online right now according to what I see. I know you guys are here to talk about stuff and things like that and not look at me set up the stream itself. The stream was already set up and worked fine for 2 weeks, and then suddenly this week started having trouble. So if it does get better, let me know. From what I can see on my own computer, connecting as an anonymous person on Twitch, I can see that it seems to work. But until I have somebody else looking at it, I cannot confirm or deny if it works or not. Alright, so this is working. Alright, well, I can't do that much about it right now unless somebody tells me otherwise. So please let me know if the chat's not working or the video's not working or anything like that, so I can try to fix it. Right now what I just did was went through all my updates. Apparently I didn't need any. And Skyra tells me it's good, so hopefully it keeps going that way. So where were we with what I was talking about? Oh yeah, grievance. We're talking about grieving the loss of somebody or someone and close to you, or really anybody. Or maybe it's grieving the loss of, I don't know, health. You could be going through something hard that's for your health right now, or losing your job, or maybe you're retiring and you're struggling with trying to find purpose. And we talked about purpose last week. So grievance is a big part of life in general. So as you know, I lost my grandfather on Monday, and I looked into the grievance process because I felt like I was not going about it the healthy way, if you will. And there's a big myth that, you know, if you ignore it, it goes faster to just get over it in a way. But that's a myth. Usually when you try to ignore something, it comes back and hits you 3, 4, 5 times as hard. So I don't want to go through that. I've been looking into it, reading about it, and, you know, trying to find the proper way of dealing with it. And from what I was told, was that, you know, maybe I just have my own way of dealing with it. A few years ago I might have started crying, and now today I might just deal with it differently. So, is that a big deal if I deal with it in my own way? Not really. From what I've been reading, from what I've been told, is that there's no right or wrong way to deal with grieving something. The loss of something is dealt with at a personal level. So nobody can tell you, oh, you're doing it wrong. But if you ignore it, that's when you're doing it wrong. So I'm not ignoring it. I know I lost my grandfather. It hurts, but not as much as I expected it to. And that's why it got me worried. Like, if I'm not dealing with it properly, I should look into it. But everybody's looking at me saying like, well, you're dealing with it, you're just not crying about it. And not crying is not necessarily a bad or a good thing, it's just a thing. So crying might not be how you deal with it. I'm like, okay, so maybe I'm just trying to be too strong and support everyone. But, this was my grandfather. Wasn't my wife's grandfather. It was my son's great grandfather, but he met him once, maybe twice, right? He doesn't have that much memories with him, so I can't blame him for not having a deep connection with him. But that man kind of showed me a lot of things in life, so it should hit me harder than that. And the only thing is, I've noticed that I've been a bit in a haze, and I haven't slept well and things like that, so I want to deal with it. So what should I do? If anybody has a tip for me for that one, I'd appreciate it. So while I'll try to figure that out and reading through a few things with you guys, all I'm gonna do is keep sanding away at some of the things that we already printed, and just to show you the Cubone skull mask that is currently printing is 3 hours and 4 hours now. 4 hours and 1 minute of print has been going on. Somehow my camera for the printer is not working. Alright, perfect. Well, I apologize for everyone tonight because my stream is not going according to plan at all. And that's just the nature of life at the end of the day, right? You can plan as much as you want. Things are going to happen no matter what. So, let's say right now we're talking, well, not let's say, we are talking about grievance. I could make a huge deal out of the stream is not working properly because, if the stream doesn't work properly, people are going to come in and look at it and go like, well, this is not going well, so I'm going to leave. I couldn't make a big deal out of that. But at the same time is that, we can't control everything. And same thing applies to when you lose somebody or something, right? You can't control everything. You may want to, you may try to, but what's going to happen is going to happen. You can try to be as safe as you want with everything, and loss is inevitable. It's just something that happens. So they say that there are a few steps that everybody has to go through when grieving, right? So I said those a little bit earlier, but let me tell them again. So there's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. So those are the main things that we go through. So Skyra says go with the flow. That's a big thing with life in general. You just gotta go with it. So same thing applies when you're dealing with loss. Like, you just gotta let what's gonna happen. So if you feel lost, you don't know what to do, don't just be by yourself though. There's nothing preventing you from being lost with somebody. Talking with people could be a huge thing, and that's what I wanted to do because I wasn't sure how to mourn this loss properly. And apparently I'm just doing well. My boss still was a good guy enough to go like, you know what, take a few days off. So going back to work on Monday, he gave me 3 days off for I lost my grandfather. I thought I was dealing with it well, but either it affected me at work or they just thought that, this is the right thing to do. We have time to do it. Why not? Right? And that's a good thing. If you're in a position that you can give that to somebody, why not? I know that I do take it a little bit hard that, I'm not going to be able to make it to my grandfather's funeral. It's not going to be something big. He's just going to have a thing at the church where say prayers and then move him to the cemetery and bury him in the lot that he bought years ago. My grandparents planned everything so that we wouldn't need to plan for them. So they didn't want to impose stress on us, so they planned for it. So how am I supposed to go through all the stages? And that's what I struggled with. This morning I woke up and went, I need to talk to somebody. And thank you, Sky. Yeah, you were talking about the streaming not cooperating. Well, you know what? I can apply pretty much anything that you say on this to the stream itself. And that's a good thing, right? I'm trying to talk with people about a lot of different things, and this one, grief, is a big subject. Like mourning of a loss of something, and knowing how to deal with it, and what's the right answer. And I don't have the answer. I have what I do, and it might not apply to somebody else. And I'd love to know what somebody else feels when they go through something like that, because I remember that a few years ago I lost a friend of mine, and I took it really hard. And then a few months later I lost another friend, and that one didn't really affect me. And then another time lost another friend, and that one affected me again. So mourning doesn't even apply the same way to myself. So, am I going through all the steps wrong, and do I need to go through all the steps? Well, according to all sorts of research, there's no such thing as all these steps. Those are the average steps that people take. They start with denying it, so, oh, this isn't happening, or, not feeling anything and stuff like that. And that's why I was afraid, because I'm not feeling anything. Then moving on to anger. Oh, oh, this is not real, I'll change it, something else, or somebody lied to me, or whatever. And then bargaining. Well, if only this, if only that, or what if I did that? Right, those are big things that you start bargaining for, changing the outcome that happened. And we can't. What happened, happened. No matter how good or bad the outcome is, we can't change what happened. So a lot of people after that, they fall into a depression state where sadness actually sets in, and they begin to understand the loss and how it's going to affect their lives. And so crying, sleep issues, decreased appetite, feeling overwhelmed, regretful, lonely, all these sorts of things. And I thought I went through that, because in my head I went with, I lost my grandfather. He was a big part of my life. But then I went to when I was younger. Okay, he taught me a lot about other things. Yeah, but still when I was younger. And a few years ago when I visited my grandparents, it was, well, they outright told me, we don't want you to come to the funeral. You're far away. It's going to cost a lot of money, and it's going to put some stress on you. So, I think I did my grieving back then, a portion of it at least. And that's something I brought up when I was talking to somebody earlier today, and that person is actually trained into helping people deal with that sort of thing, those sort of things in general. And they said no, you could have grieved a few years ago already. You accepted it now, and the event didn't happen back then, but you are already good to go. Whatever happened, happened. How old am I? Ali, yeah, I'm a bit over 30. Does that mean anything to you, or is that important for you? I don't think age is a big deal with talking with a lot of things that people go through in general. So I like to talk about a lot of different subjects. I find they're important to discuss, and age should not be a relevant thing if you really think about it. Whoa, my volume's up. Alright, I just lowered it. Alright, let me check a few things here. Alright, perfect, I'm good. So, well, you were almost right, but I'm not telling you my full age. That's not relevant to the conversation we're having, though. Why do you need to know if I'm married? I have a spouse, but those are questions that are not relevant to the subject. I don't feel that I should share that information with you. I don't know you yet, right? If you want to get to know me, we should have a discussion here first. And right now we're talking about grieving. So I'm talking about how when we lose some things, we go through all sorts of stages and everybody goes through them differently, right? So what's your opinion on that? Oh yeah, and while I'm doing that, I'm sending some low-key variant horns here. What I found the hardest was when my grandfather died, was see him sick, lose weight, muscles and all, and see him suffering from his cancer. I didn't cry much after he passed away. So, Skyra there's talking about, like, when her grandfather died, she found it hard to see him sick and lose weight and all that. And I have to agree, that is not an easy thing to go through, right? But I didn't get to see all of that with my grandfather. So she said, I didn't cry much after he passed away. And yeah, and crying's not necessarily the way everything goes. Sometimes people just don't feel that they need to cry, and that's perfectly normal as well. There's no such thing as we need to do all these steps in order to go through it properly. Sometimes you can just move from I don't know, depression, acceptance. There you go, done. And then you carry on with your life. It's not necessarily a, we need to force all the emotions to go through a person. Anyways, that's the way I see it, and it is a big deal. Somebody died, we may need to go through different emotions. Different people will go through different emotions. I think I went through the first stage, which is just denying it. And then I went a little bit in the bargaining stage, where what if I went there earlier? What if I gave him a call? What if? And then I went with, when I said that, and what does that matter? If my grandfather was going to die, he was going to die. I wish I could change something, but honestly, I know I can't. So it doesn't matter what I believe in. What was going to happen was going to happen, and what happened happened. I can't change it. So I went with, well, okay, my grandfather passed away. Is it sad? Yes. But there's no right or wrong way of grieving a loss of something. But if somebody else has a different view on it, please let me know. I'd love to hear your point of view on this. And Ali, if you have points you want to bring up, please do. But asking me my age and what I think the best age to marry somebody is not relevant to the situation. And I don't think I want to talk about that, really, honestly. There's no best age to marry somebody. So it's as long as everybody's happy and everybody's can consent. That's the thing. It's none of my business, none of your business, right? So let's talk about grievance. What are your beliefs on that when you lose something that, you know, meant a lot to you? Alright, Ali, you're gonna go in a timeout there because your subjects are no longer, like, relevant at all, so sorry, my friend, but if you want to talk here, you gotta stay relevant on the subject, not ask irrelevant questions. That changes nothing. So put him on a timeout for a few minutes there, make him think about what he's talking about. We're talking about grieving somebody. So whether I'm attracted to males or females, men or women, doesn't matter. We're not talking about that. That's my private life anyways. Does not concern you. I'm here to try to help people go through grievance and helping myself at the same time while hearing what other people have to say. So I was reading about grievance. Let's go back to the right subject here. So how do we cope with it? Right? So there's many different ways. Right? First thing you got to do is acknowledge your pain. However easy or hard that is for you, you still got to acknowledge it. You lost somebody or something, you got to say, all right, I know I lost something. It's not accepting it right away. You got to first acknowledge it. And then when you acknowledge it, you'll be able to accept it. And you can accept as well the grief that comes with it. So, and those can trigger a lot of different emotions, right? It can go from anger to sadness to all sorts of things. And even some people, when they hear or learn about something terrible that happened, first thing they do is they start laughing. It doesn't make any sense. They don't know why they're doing it, but they go through a laughing fit because that's just how their brain decided to react to this situation. And is it wrong? No. But if you don't acknowledge what happened or the pain that you're going through, now that may become an issue. Not everybody's built the same. Not everybody believes the same thing. But, you know, some people go through it like that. And then after that, you got to understand that, you know, your grieving process will be different than everybody else's. And that's something that I had a lot of struggles with since Monday. I've been going like, why am I not going through the process properly? Well, that's because there is no like official process. There is the general process. People go through these stages and all that, but there's no official process for it. It can be, all right, something happened, yeah, lost somebody, some things, whatever, and you just go with, yeah, okay, and you're done. That could be all it is for you, and that's not a bad thing. Some people react even less than that. Some people just go like, okay, and carry on. Right? But if you are struggling, do what I did. There's no shame in just talking with somebody. Right? You just go up to whoever you should be. There's phone numbers available everywhere for all sorts of things. I don't know about different countries and things like that, about mental health, but I know here in Canada, it's a big thing where we try to help people with mental health issues. So we have phone numbers available for all sorts of different issues. And even the hospitals can help you. So maybe that's what it is. Or maybe it's just calling a friend. You just say, hey, I just, like in my situation, I could just call a friend and say, hey, I just lost my grandfather. Kind of don't want to be alone. You want to go out and do something? Just that could be a big thing. Right? And then not falling into what I call a pit of despair, where you just try to block yourself off from everything and don't want to do anything. And I know with my mental health, I struggle with that a lot. I don't want to move. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't even want to go to sleep. Now, on my end, there's also the physical pain that I'm in constantly. That makes it a lot more difficult. Right? So now I gotta manage the mourning of my grandfather with, am I just in pain right now, or is this me mourning? It's not an easy thing to go through, especially when you're like me and you have a few things going on in your life. You're just not sure sometimes how to react. There's nothing wrong, I'm gonna say it again, with being with somebody. Like calling somebody a friend, a family member, or doctor, or psychologist. There's nothing wrong with that. But you gotta acknowledge yourself that, you know, maybe I need some help. And that's a big thing. You cannot think that you can go through everything on your own. Everybody has a breaking point. Breaking points are different from one person to another. And then you gotta make sure that, you know, you know the difference as well between mourning, grieving, and depression. And because somebody could be depressed or become depressed from losing a big thing in their life, whether it's a person or a job or something like that. So if you do feel that, you know, after a little while that things are not getting better, go seek mental health help. You should. There's nothing wrong with that. It's supported pretty much all over the world. I know some countries are a little bit different on that, but if there's anything, there has to be somebody around you that you love, that you care for, or that cares for you, that will want to talk to you and try to help you. And that's what you got to do. Talk to those people. We surround ourselves with people all the time to help us with anything, whether it's moving a couch or changing a tire on your car or going through a mourning process. So why not just call them then if you're having mental health issues? You're mourning somebody. There's nothing wrong with that. Mourning is different for everybody. So go see a friend, go see a doctor, go see anybody that you need. Distract yourself if that's what you need, or just feel the brunt force of all the emotions that you're going through. However you react to the loss of something, it's your own way of dealing with it. There's nothing wrong. So the stages of grief is something that came out in 1969, so it's not that old, and it's already been broken apart. Where, you know, those stages in 1969, that's what they said. You will have to go through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then accept, finally. And if you don't go through all that, you won't heal. But what they discovered is that, no, that's not actually true. You may not need to go through all that. Everybody reacts differently. So nobody can predict what a person will do or say or how they will react in general. So do what you need to do to help yourself. And helping yourself is not causing yourself harm in any way, or other people's harm. Causing harm to other people, basically. Right? If you start hurting yourself, whether it's physically or mentally, go seek help. There's nothing wrong. It's important to do so. And that help can vary greatly. But if it causes you physical or mental health harm, that's not right. And you know it too. It might help you have certain feelings, but those are not the feelings you should be getting. So go seek help. That's a good thing. I've done it. I've done it a lot. Just today I spent like 2 hours, and most of my 2 hours was not crying or anything like that. I was mad and pissed off. Not even about losing my grandfather though. So I got not all of it, but a lot of anger out of my body, and it helped me for the rest of the day. Now honestly, I'm extremely tired tonight, so maybe my day was very hard emotionally, but all on the inside. And now I'm just tired and I need to go to sleep. So something we got to take into consideration where, when you're grieving as well though, is that going through, having shock and disbelief and things like that is natural. Right? That's part of, you just had some bad news. You don't want it to be true, because bad news, nobody wants bad news. Like I said, whether you're losing somebody close, or you're losing that dream job of yours, or you're losing your favorite car for whatever reason, you don't want that. So going through that is a very, very normal thing. Then being sad about it. Sadness is a real emotion. There's nothing wrong with being sad about losing something, whether it's material or emotional. You still lost something. So sadness is normal. Feeling guilty, that's where we gotta watch out for that one. That's an emotion that a lot of people will feel when they lose something. Like going through well, what if I did this? What if I did that? Like, it's all my fault. If I didn't do this wouldn't happen. A lot of people go through that. And we gotta watch out for that one. Because, yeah, I did that with my grandfather. Like, maybe if I called him more often, I'd feel better now. But maybe I would have felt worse as well. And we're not a family that calls each other a lot. So why should I feel bad? I do feel kind of bad, but at the same time not, because I didn't change who I was because my grandfather grew older and sick and things like that. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. According to science, it's not. But maybe science has it wrong. It's always good to have somebody else's point of view. Because I'm not perfect. Science isn't perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nothing is perfect. We're on Earth. Everything is unknown, really. And even the things we know, we're not 100% sure about. So that's why I do these kinds of talks, because I want to learn more. But I don't have a huge amount of money to spend the rest of my days in school. Plus, I'm not really good in school. I'm more of a do stuff type of guy, not a sit down in the classroom type of person. So something else that somebody might go through when they're grieving something, right? So fear. So a lot of worries can happen. So you lose your job. Well, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to buy food? You lose a caretaker. Well, that person took care of me for so long. What am I going to do now? You lose somebody close to you. Well, I'll never feel the same way. I'm not going to be loved anymore. All those sorts of things. And something you got to remember is that you can't predict the future. You don't know what's going to happen. You can plan as much as you want. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So you go with the flow. Like Skyra said at the start of the stream. Right? That's a big, big thing. You may feel anxious and helpless and insecure about the future. Totally normal. Don't stay stuck in there. Go find the help and support that you need, whether it's friends, family, or professionals. Just don't hurt yourself. And the feeling, the anger that a person feels when losing something or someone is very, very real. Right? If we go with losing, like for myself, losing my grandfather, I could be extremely angry about him dying, but angry at what? The only thing I can be angry at, the only thing I could have changed was what I did. Or I could be angry at the nurses because they could have took better care for him or things like that, but does that make any sense? He had family there every single day. Would it have changed something if I would have been there every single day? Maybe his mood might have improved. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't have the answer for that one. But a big thing that can happen as well is sometimes all the symptoms that you have after going through grief is that all the symptoms may be physical, like fatigue, nausea. Your immunity might be lowered. You might lose or gain weight. You might be in more or less pain. You might gain insomnia or lose sleep, whichever you want to say. So there's two things that can happen more. So maybe all that I'm feeling today is all part of grief. Or maybe it's not. I don't even know myself. I don't have the final answer for that one. It's a very, very difficult thing to understand when you don't understand yourself. So you got to take the time to talk to somebody. And if you can, a professional. There's nothing preventing you from doing that unless you're in a country or a location where you don't have access to that. But if you have access to the internet, it's available online. Don't be afraid to use it. Most of those services are free. I know there was a big one advertised on Reddit for a while, hopefully it's still there, where it was just professionals that actually volunteered some of their time to help people with mental health. Alright, Ali here, still with the inappropriate questions. I don't know why you're here, man. So, there you go. We're gonna just do this. I deleted the message. But that's the thing about streaming, right? I could be as mad as I wanted against myself for allowing somebody to come on my stream and start talking shit. Or I could be mad at the person to just be here and try to troll me and stuff like that. Or I could just remove the message, report the person, and carry on with life. Like, that person didn't bother me. They asked me if I was tight. Probably. I don't know. What does that matter? Right? Some people just don't know how to be humans. They think they're all the best and stuff like that, and it's funny to make fun of people. Those are the saddest people on this planet. Those are the people that are going through grief of being alone. Grief of not having any people supporting them. And I'm willing to support those people. But not if they act like that. A big thing that I believe is that everybody should support everyone as much as they can. I'm not saying give everything you have. I'm saying if you have time, or money, or physical objects that you can donate and give it to people. Because you don't know what people are going through. Right? So, let's try to see if this camera works again. Printer cam. Printer cam is down. Oh no, not the printer cam. Yeah, it's plugged in and everything. Sadly, this camera does not work, and I apologize for that. So, we're printing Cubone. I'm working on the low-key crown, and we talked about grief. So, maybe the stream wasn't as long as usual because it was all types of cut and all that. I had a lot of issues with the stream itself. And honestly, I'm extremely tired. This week, the past few days, I don't know, I haven't slept. I've slept a lot, but not well. So let's take this a few minutes here to do what I usually do. At the end of the stream, what do? We relax. Okay, we let go of our shoulders. We drop our tongue from the roof of our mouths. We close our eyes. We relax all the muscles in our face. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Out through your mouth. And then we just think about something we're grateful for. Okay? Find something that you were grateful for today. Even if it's what you think is irrelevant. It could be just, you know what? My coffee today was really good and I'm really grateful for that. It doesn't need to be a big thing. But being grateful for at least one thing a day will help you. No matter what you're going through. Whether it's a small problem you're having or a big thing. Just be grateful for something. And then I want you to think about somebody that's been in your life. And take the time to thank them tonight. Or tomorrow morning, depending on what time it is for you. Don't wake somebody up if it's 3 in the morning for yourself. But do take the time to thank somebody for being in your life and just being a friend, being a family member, whatever. Somebody that's been there for you. Do take the time to thank them and do something with them. Right? So, I'll come back on Friday. I'll try coming back a little bit earlier Friday. So, Friday, if I can, I'll be here at 8 o'clock. And we'll talk about something else. And we'll see where the Cubone mask is at. So with that, everyone, I'm wishing you a very good night. And we'll talk to each other again on Friday.